on, beautiful people? Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Grind.
BTG.
Hey, if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. And please don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of our future content. Our podcast is for the doers and the dreamers who are ready to take their lessons and turn them into actions. My name is Kay.
I'm Alan.
And I'm Tosin.
Now, today's guest is actually an entrepreneur. She is an educator.
Okay.
And she is also a community builder. Now, she's taken an award-winning childcare business, scaled it from 10 kids all the way to 400 plus kids across multiple locations. Now let that sink in. Now I'm excited today because she's here and she's ready to share all the lessons and the strategies behind the growth and her success. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Ruby Mbelu.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ruby, welcome to the BTG family.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. Thank you.
It's such
Thank
a
you for
pleasure.
the opportunity.
And
Absolutely.
look, first of all, before we get started, can we just admire the dressing today? Like,
She came ready.
you know,
I had to impress you.
I actually have a testimonial about that. So Ruby and I and Kay go to the same church. So
Right.
I didn't know Ruby that much, but I did see her. Every time she shows up in church, everybody's like, oh,
thank
there she goes. You know, you can always tell because she's always dressed
Oh,
to the
thank
nines.
you.
Like she shows up for
Yeah.
church.
Yeah.
Thank
All right,
you.
so I got to give it to her.
Yes.
I'm not surprised she showed up the same way
this
today.
is the definition of dress the way you want to be addressed. So when she walked
absolutely.
in, I said, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I was trying to impress you all because, you know, you all look good
Appreciate it.
for your podcast. I watch your podcast. So I had to come
to
correct.
represent.
Yes,
I
yes,
love it. I
yes.
love it.
Thank you
Don't
for
worry,
having
it's
me here.
That's making them look good.
Thank you.
But jumping right into it, you know, so for all of our guests that come in, we kind of start with a soft question just to make sure, you know, we set the table properly before we
Absolutely.
dive in deep. All right. I didn't know that much about you and your experience before we had to actually research you, and I'm extremely impressed
Thank
by
you.
your background. So
Thank you.
beyond the professional intro that Kay gave, can you give us a little bit more about yourself?
Okay. My name is Ruby Mbelu, as was mentioned. I am a wife. I'm a mother. I have 4 children. A wife of 19 years.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah, you got to give it up for that.
Yes.
Definitely.
19 years. Yeah, 19 years
No,
and counting.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah, 19 years and counting. I'm a Christian, and I have this passion for children, and that has been the driving force to everything that I have done so far, right? I know that it's a calling. I know it's a mantle that I carry. It's a heavy mantle, but I have found a way to turn my purpose into profit.
Okay.
And I've turned my legacy, if you will, into like a lasting impact, right? And I can't wait to share everything if time permits, right? I can't wait to share with you guys. I'm also a woman that is resilient, right? I have come from, you know, not so much to, you know, where I am today by the grace of God. And it is by design, you know, there's a process to it. And now I'm at the point in my life where I want to share that process with other people so they can also, you know, attain success and achieve success, right? I'm also an author. So my book is coming out this summer, and it's all in the same reasoning, wanting to give back to people, reach a wider audience, reach a global audience, you know, and just give back.
It's like you saw my notes. I'm like, you're breaking it down. I love it.
Thank
right? 'Cause you've touched on everything we're going to touch on.
Yeah.
So-
And I actually wanted to, you know, kind of scale it back a little bit, right?
Okay.
Because you mentioned something, right? going back, you went to Tennessee State University, right?
Yes.
Most people graduate looking for a job, right? They're looking for that. You know, some people get an internship, some people get that first job.
Yes.
And then they essentially just ride that wave, right? But that wasn't your story. Can you kind of talk us into what led to you going into the entrepreneurship realm?
Yes. So I've always had that entrepreneurship spirit, entrepreneurial spirit, because my mom is an entrepreneur. She
Shout out
had,
to the moms.
Hey,
shout out
you
to
know.
mama, right? So she had, growing up, she had a restaurant and she had a hair salon. So I was part of the sales girls, like you call them waitress here, a waitress. And then for her salon, I was part of the hairstylist, right? So I know how to do like braids and, you know, all that stuff. I worked in her salon at a very early age. So I knew what business was somewhat, right? I knew the buying, the selling. I knew the buying and selling aspect. I knew about rent. I knew about lockup shop. There's something in Lagos called lockup shop. The thugs called aberos, they will show up and, you know, you have to pay something, you know, pay homage to them or whatever. So I knew how that works. NEPA will show up. You have to, you know, or they'll cut your light, you know. So I knew the bills aspect.
Grease the wheels of business.
Mafia,
right?
Yes. It got to a point. It got to a point in my mom's businesses where she would actually let me run it. So she's home and she's like, Ruby, go and check on the shops. You know, when I was younger, and I didn't like it then because
what age around?
I was around 14, 15.
Okay.
So I would go to the shops. I could tell how many customers and clients are in there, and based on the hairstyles, I can tell how much we should expect from you know,
forecasting already.
Yes, because you know, braiding costs less than cornrows or whatever, you know. So whatever this, and I know the set price, right? There was a system on how much we charge for certain things. So I could walk in. I already knew when. Her restaurants, same thing with the people eating. I could tell, you know, the rice and stew is different from Eba, you know, so whatever they're eating, I could tell. Then when I head to the kitchen, based on, because we have like certain amount of food you cook a day in the restaurant business. So based on how much it's gone down, I can tell, okay, if you've sold a whole pot of jollof rice, this is how much should be in the drawers, right? Yeah. So I would go collect the money and, you know, just watch things and stuff like that. So that was my
introduction.
Yes, introduction to business. Now, when I was in Tennessee State, I studied child psychology, and I was in the College of Education because I knew I wanted to be around children. And that's another story in itself because I was an only child. So I thought growing up when I was like maybe 5 or 6, I thought that, you know, doctors were the ones who give children to the parents, right? So I always wondered why no doctor wants to give my mom a child, right? It doesn't work like that, obviously. So I knew I wanted to be either a doctor or a teacher because I loved my teachers and I just love being around children. I love the whole play date when kids come over, and I'm still like that till date. I just love having people around. You know, you don't have to call me and set up an invitation. You just show up, and I love it. I love hosting people, right? And this is from my childhood. So when I went to Tennessee State, child psychology was supposed to be my pre-med, right? Oh. Yes. I quickly found out that I don't like blood or anything gross. So that went my doctor dream. I'm like, no, canceled. I can't do this, you know? So the next thing was to work with children. I graduated, got married, moved to Dallas, and I worked in a childcare facility. Even while I was in Tennessee State, I was working at, you know, part-time. That was my job. I had a local grocery shop I was working at, and also childcare business. Okay. So I moved here, worked in a childcare business, grew to becoming the director. Nice. Yes, becoming the director. Now I got pregnant. and I had to stay home. The reason I had to stay home, we had one car, and OB's job was the opposite.
Your husband.
OB is my husband. Yeah, his job is the opposite direction from my school where I worked as a director. So I had to quit because he makes more. It was the obvious smartest choice. So I had to quit. I quit, stayed home, had my baby. 3 months later, the plan was 3 months later I would go back to work in some capacity. 3 months later, I'm like, you know what? I've always wanted to do business, right? So I don't want to go back and be a director in another daycare or anything like that. And I try to explore all my creative sides, right? So the first thing, I'm a very good cook. So I said, okay, I'm going to be a caterer, right?
We're going to test her on that.
I'm a very good cook, okay, if I can say so myself. Put in the comments if you've tasted my food, right? So I tried the whole catering business. I got 2 gigs, did it. I was like, that's it. This is not me.
Trial and error.
Yeah. I was like, done. But I tried it, that's part of your entrepreneurial story and journey. You tried it, good, done.
Doesn't have to be like the first business you go into, like
that blows. Yeah, no.
That's the only business I want to do. And
no. We all have several different gifts in us, and it's okay to explore everything and see what works, right? And I'll get back to that in a minute because there's something I want to say with that. Anyway, so the catering business, did 2 gigs, I was done. Then I moved to the next passion of mine is interior design. Like anyone who knows me, I love beautiful spaces. My home, I'm always changing out, the decor in my home, So I tried interior design. At the time, the friends I had at the time were broke, okay? Stay away from broke friends, okay? They were broke. So what used to happen, I got...
How do you get rich?
Right? That's why we're here. That's why we're here. So they took advantage, right? So when they found out that I'm starting my interior design business, it's like, oh, Ruby, come to my house, come and help me, and
take pictures.
Yeah, and then I show up with my personality, extroverted. I'm like, oh, do you know you can put this throw pillow here and you can change this curtain here? I'm already giving ideas without being paid for consultation. So what happens is I come to their house, my next visit, they've
done everything.
Yeah, they've implemented everything. And my husband was like, what are you even doing? Like, you've not made 1 penny from this, but you've helped all your friends decorate all their nurseries, all their houses. What are you doing? And then he had a long talk with me. He's like, are you ready to go back to what God has really called you to, which is childcare, Because I was trying to explore other things. I had done the childcare. I was a director in my job, So I was like, okay, I guess I'll go back to what works. And what I was trying to say before is, when you have a cute idea, you have to work a lot harder to convince your buyer. So cute ideas don't scale and cute ideas don't grow.
Cute
business idea.
Okay.
So if you have an idea that is cute, but it's not a demand in the community,
right?
Yes.
It's not needed in the community.
Right.
You have to convince people. Say you have a business you're starting and it's such a cute idea, and you come to me, I will support you maybe once because I'm your friend. So I will just sow a seed, but it's not something that is reoccurring. You want a business where you have recurring income from everybody because there's a demand in the community.
Yeah.
You have looked at the community, you see the need, and with your skill set, you can meet that need in the community, right?
Yes.
Not just having a cute idea. So
I'm a big fan of Shark Tank, and a lot of times they look at you being able to generate revenue as a proof of concept.
Absolutely.
Right? So you might have a great idea, you might have whatever, but if there's no revenue to show for it, it's a great idea. It doesn't mean it's not a great idea. It's just there's no market for it.
Absolutely. I do that. I do like my own little Shark Tank, if you will, because I invest in businesses. And when someone comes to me with an idea, and they don't have the funding they don't have the funding, but then they already know they might be denied by the banks, because it's a lot harder to get funding with banks and, big investing companies. So they will come to someone like me, right?
An angel investor.
An angel investor. That's one of the things I'm looking for, because you can have a cute idea, it's cute, but sell one first. If you sell, it's a cute product, but have you prove it?
Do people want it?
Do people want this?
Like, really?
And I try to explain to people, the banks and the investment houses or what have you, they would invest more in your business if they see that you've sold something. There's consistency and people actually want it. They would look into what you're doing more than someone who has the best business plan. Because AI can do anything right now. AI can come up with the best business plan for you. You have everything on paper. Start first. Sell one.
Execute.
Sell one. If you
we'll see the difference.
Have you sold one? Let's see the numbers.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be your mom too. It's not like you sold one to your mom. Do we need this in the community?
Yeah.
So going back to my my story, I felt like all these were cute ideas and people were just taking advantage, but there was no way I could grow it. Right now, in my position now, if I want to revisit that, I know better and I know what I can do to become, an interior decorator or be in the interior design business. Then I didn't have that. So I had to go back to number one, my first love, which is, children and childcare. And then also it's a need in the community. People always need childcare. People are always having children and they need to go back to work and they need trusted people that can watch the kids, that can help the kids grow, that can teach the kids. That is always a need in any community, right?
That's right.
So I had to go back to that, go back to my first love. And once I did that, it blew. Like I got full. My first home daycare, the capacity was 10. I got full in like 3 weeks because a friend of mine found out and another friend found out and another friend found out. They're pulling their kids from the big franchise daycares to patronize me because they know that Ruby is good with kids. Their kids already love Ruby. Ruby has watched their kids multiple times. They want to be around, and the kids have told their friends that we go to Miss Ruby's daycare now. You know what I mean? So now all the kids I stayed full. And I did that for 5 years.
I like that. So you stayed 5 years in a home daycare scenario.
In the one. Wow.
Yes, I stayed 5 years in my home, perfecting my craft and building my systems. Right?
Okay.
Because I knew.
You just answered my next question.
Yes.
Going in the dark.
No. Keep going. Sorry.
Moving in silence.
Yeah,
moving in silence.
Because that's really important. A lot of people are like, hey, I want to start this business. I need to go big the first day. I need to make it the biggest thing ever. I need to spend a whole lot of money on marketing, advertising, social media ads, tell everybody out there, whatever. And it's like, you don't have any systems. And you don't have any process.
It doesn't work like that.
Nobody's going to work for you.
Right.
Keep listing, all the different things that you have not tested yourself.
Speaking of systems, sorry. I got a question for you, right?
Yeah.
Because you talked about, the trials and errors, right? But then you talked about how, you basically started building from home and then you basically make sure to fine tune it. As a business advisor, I have a framework that I advise my, founders on.
Okay.
It's called a MOAT framework, MOAT.
Okay.
So M starts for margin, right? So typically if you want to start a business, you're making sure that it has anywhere between 15 to 20% or higher in margin, right? Then you have the O, which is the operation. What type of operation have you set up to make sure that you can succeed, right? And then you have the A, which is the advantage. What competitive advantage do you have that will allow you to win in the marketplace, right? And then you have the T, which you kind of touched on, which is total addressable market. Is there enough market that needs specifically what you're trying to provide, what service or product you're trying to provide. Now, the question I have for you is that typically some people know the framework, apply the system, and it helps them. Some people just kind of fall into it. In your case, was it more of a trial and error till I figure it out? Or was it more of a, let me educate myself on the best practice so that I can be able to provide the best service for my clients?
I think it's a little bit of both. Because remember that my previous job was a director at a daycare. So that was my try and error. I have already worked in somebody else's childcare. Yes. So, and a lot of the things that I helped them achieve in that daycare was my
strategy.
My strategy. It was my intellectual property. So you can't take that from me, right? So now I'm doing mine with my intellectual property, right? I can, as I am right now, I can open a daycare in my sleep because it's here. Right? So it's a little bit of both. My trial and error learning, working in the business was when I was a daycare for somebody a director for somebody else, right? But when I started mine, I then used those things that I learned to build my systems.
So let me ask you this. In that 5 years, were you planning on scaling?
I always knew I was going to
scale.
I always knew I was going to grow. I mean, who has a business that don't want it to grow?
Surprise. I'm good with my $5.
So let me tell you what happens. There is no, I don't believe that there's anybody who doesn't want their business to grow. What keeps people is the fear. Do you understand? So they make excuses like, oh no, I just want to run a small bit. If you show them the framework, there's nobody that will say, if you say, I will hold your hand and I will help you, there's nobody that would say, no, I don't want, who doesn't like good things, right? But they would convince themselves that they want to just, I just want this little, it's fear.
Well, what's the psychology behind that fear though? What's causing people to have fear?
There are a lot of things that cause people to have fear. Number one, fear of failing, right? You fear of what people will say too, So you went from having, like in my case, you went from having 10 kids. Now you are you're in a facility with 115. You flopped it. Now you're back to your 10. People will be like, are you not the one that owns it? Now everybody is in your business. That whole fear. Another thing is, another fear could be fear of like debt, right? Like you can, with your 10, you can pay your bill, you can manage yourself. Now you've gone to carry a big building.
A 10-year, what do you call lease?
A big building. Now you have a big,
That's a real fear, actually.
Real fear. In my country, it's called gbese, right? You carry gbese on your head. Do you understand? So that's a big fear. That's a big fear for people. And then also, dare I say, sometimes is they're not prepared and you can hide with the 10.
Yeah.
You can hide with the 10, you can just, package yourself.
Yes.
When you have 100 and something,
be exposed.
Yes.
That's what I
now everybody will know.
Exposure.
Yes.
Right? Because also, maybe like people don't like working with you. But when you scale, you're going to have people work for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you weren't good at working with other people, who said other people will be good at working with you? There's a lot of different things that can be exposed when you want to scale.
And that's even like a service-based business.
Yes.
Think of like product-based business, right? So when you're doing something small in your house, like maybe you started a shampoo or candle, and you're just selling to your friends, you can hide behind that. When you now have a big production team and your candles suck,
I'll tell you.
it's like everybody online with the bad reviews, like these candles suck, Before you know, you have
my friends and family tells me.
before you know, you have a lawsuit liquid in your hands or something, you don't did something with the chemicals, you know? So with the product-based business, it's even like, this product sucks. Like, what is this, you know? So people hide, and that's where that cute idea is, you know? So people have cute ideas, they start.
It's cute.
It's cute. They start, right? They don't want to scale because they have something that works, because scaling would reveal that this was just a cute idea. Not that many people need it. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's
funny, right?
It's actually interesting because I got a friend of mine. She, started a candle business.
Oh.
And every time.
Is she gonna watch this? He brought up the candle idea. It wasn't me.
Every time, we talk about scaling, it's almost like there is this fear that if this thing blows up, I got to give up my 9 to 5. And my 9 to 5 is usually my safety net. So let me just continue to sell, 30 to 40 candles that I'm selling, because it's a side income for me to go on vacation, and it's not really a business to
and that's a side
expand.
hustle, right?
And that's a side, and which is fine, because
maybe she had no intention of it,
right? So that's what I say. Like,
it's part of that fear, right?
Yes, but
or they value other things,
right? But remember, Ruby said, who doesn't necessarily want to scale their business? So somebody like that, people that are risk adverse. People that have a 9 to 5, they're well established, and they're saying like, look, I got something great going on here. I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to have to juggle between my 9 to 5 and this. I just want to do this on the weekend.
Need a sacrifice.
So exactly, right?
So what I will say to somebody like that, again, mindsets are different, right? If you taste up here, why would you, not to say, I don't know how to say this without being controversial, right?
Fine.
Because I'm not going to, if I were her or any other entrepreneur listening to this, or, business owner listening to this, I'm not going to stop something that is growing. There's proof, there's numbers to show that we've sold one, right? Like, there's numbers to show, and there's a demand for this, right? But I'm worried about my 9 to 5 and literally you're putting 9 to 5. How many hours is that? That's 8, right? You're putting 8 hours into growing somebody else's business. If I put those 8 hours into growing this thing that has proven to work,
it might fail then.
No, it will grow. No. But according to the story, it's growing.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put a lid on it because I want to go to 9 to 5. You see what I'm saying? If it wasn't growing and it's just you're making maybe $10 a month, yes, stay with your 9 to 5, right? But if it's growing, it's time to be like, okay, there's something here. What do I need to do? Do I need to go find an angel investor to help, or do I need to get a grant, or do I need to get a loan, or what do I need to do to pour into this?
Is money the issue?
Yeah.
Find the money.
Find the money, not working a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Right? And they're paying you literally peanuts to work somebody. Now you think it's now the 9 to 5er, not you. The 9 to 5er thinks it's good money and stability. But compared to what you can make if your business grows, that's peanuts.
And plus, it might not be stability. Right? We are
all the
in
time.
this economy, as they say, right? So you never know, when they'll be sending you an email.
Right?
Access. There's no even pink slip. It's just you don't have access. Thank you anymore. That's about it.
On the other hand, it might not be enough passion there for them to even want to pursue
that too.
So it might be like, this is just a hobby. I don't want to turn it into more, because that would require me giving up free time to things that I like doing.
That's legit.
This. Like, you had other things that you did that you were like, I don't want to do this.
If it's
and
proven,
that might be that,
if it's proven and it's working, my advice to such a person, sell it.
Ruby, I want to ask you a question.
Sell it to someone who can,
Take
push
it
it.
to that next
Yeah,
level.
why put a lid on it? It's like, it's making my ears itch in this story. I'm like, you have something,
That's the serial entrepreneurs.
Exactly. Sell it and go to your 9 to 5. Right?
Mindsets will always be different at the end of the day, right? Everybody has different mindset. And speaking of sell it, right? Our audience knows about Omotayo CPA. We talked about how he got his first client all the way
Talking
to
about me and
I know, right? Like you're not here.
all the way to him acquiring more CPA firms to being, who he is today, right? Shout out to Tosin, by the way. Anyway, obviously you have multiple locations, right? Can you kind of talk about the strategies that you implemented to acquire more locations, especially for somebody who's out there who's doing very well, but they're probably confused about that next step, that multiple location, right? Did you apply for a loan? Like, did you get a grant? Like, specifically, like, for somebody who's out there, what would they need to do? Talk about your story.
Can I add to that? Like, because the story has stopped where you've got 10 children in the house. All right.
Okay.
We don't want to get to
Yeah,
let's
that's
not
true.
jump. Let's kind of graduate
5
little
years,
by
she was perfecting
So
her
we're,
strategy.
we're now at 5 years.
We have 5
right?
years, yes.
Pick it up.
Okay, so we're at 5 years. The 5 years wasn't the 5-year mark. You know how people have a 5-year mark. Really, if I had found a building in 2 years, I would have moved, right? Because there was demand for it, and I'm good at what I do, and it was buzzing. Ruby now has a daycare, right? But it's good that it was 5 years because that gave me time to build my systems, right? So with this now, I'm expanding. People are calling. I'm having to turn away families because I'm full. I thought about different things, but in the state of Texas, with a home daycare, the capacity is 12. That's the max. It doesn't matter how big your house is, you stop at 12, right? So I thought about, knocking down some walls in my house, but why spend all that money just to get 2 extra kids?
Yeah.
I would use that money and go get a building and start a commercial space, then have a home daycare, knock down. Man, I would have, just for 2. If Texas would allow
the whole house.
the Niger girl in me, we'll live in one room. Everywhere else will be full of kids. Hey, God. Would have backyard will build a small hut and then the whole house. Oh yes, they knew what they were doing.
Maximize
with that.
it, huh?
Yeah, they knew exactly what they were doing with that. So they cap it at 12. So yeah, it did not make sense. Everything that we saved now. To your question and leading also to the story, my experience is different because I didn't go the loan route.
Okay.
Right? Everything we've done up until this point is from self-finance, our savings, right?
Okay.
So that having that daycare for 5 years gave us the financial ability to be able to look for a space. We were trying to find a space. We were in McKinney at that time. There was nothing that I could find. And my industry is very highly regulated, right? And they have very specific measurements and specific things that you can have a daycare in because it's children's safety, right?
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. You have to have an office space with a fenced backyard so you can have a playground, and it has to be fenced, which I didn't mind because I could put the fence. The problem with the spaces we were finding in McKinney is it's just like this one. The building, is a commercial strip, and there's
Can't have this next to that.
Yes, you can have this next to that. They have that, and then they also have
Especially
the
for
building, and then the fence is like right here. I'm like, where will the kids need to play outside? So we're not finding commercial spaces that would actually work. Yeah. So my husband and I had conversations, and we're like, you know what? These regulations are getting too much. Why don't we now buy an existing building, an existing business that is already zoned and everything, all the specifications they need, everything is there. So let's change strategy. Instead of trying to buy a building or buy land and try to build something, let us buy an existing daycare. So we changed. Yeah, it's easier
strategy.
because it's already been licensed for daycare. Children are already in it.
Yeah.
They have approved it for children, you know. So that was what we did. We now changed strategy and started looking for existing buildings, right? And we found one in Dallas, and that story is just amazing. What happened with that? But we found one in Dallas that was selling, a retired lady that was selling. She's made her money, and she was at the point where she just wanted to give back, right? She wanted to give her daycare to someone who has a passion for it, you know, and someone who will take care of it and take care of the children. It wasn't a money thing for her because she's made her money. So it wasn't a money thing for her. And then also, childcare is not the kind of business you enter because of money.
Right.
You have to have
Passion for kids.
children. So when investors or buyers come to her and the books look good, but then she just has a vibe about the person and she sees that this person is just in it for the money, she declines it. She doesn't want to sell it to the person.
Probably a legacy thing for her too.
Yes, it's a legacy thing for her too. So here I am. I find out, you know, about this
How did
daycare.
you find out about the daycare? Was
So
it
in our
online
community,
or
yes, we have an online community
for daycare owners.
for
or-
daycare owners.
Oh, okay.
So I found out that way that, you know, a daycare in Dallas is selling. So I reached out to the broker, and then she sent me an NDA, which is normal practice, common practice. She sent me an NDA, and then she sent me some form to fill with my financials, right? Because they have to be able to prove that you can afford the place and you're not wasting people's time.
Correct.
So let's just say that how the amount that the daycare was going for, if I paid for this daycare out of pocket, I would have $40 left to my name.
Wow.
Like literally, that I had it to the dollar. So I sent it very confidently because it's a lot of money, right? And I was very proud of myself that my husband and I have been able to save this amount. So I was very proud of myself. Little did I know, right? Little did I know. So I sent it to her, sent her the NDA. She called me, she chuckled, she laughed in my face on the phone. And she's like, do you have any other finances anywhere? Like, is this it? And I was like, yeah, this is it. You know, I was very confident. And it's always good to fail privately, right? And believe publicly, right? Like, yeah, in your mind.
I'm gonna take that one.
Yeah, in your mind, you know that, you know, what are we gonna do with $40, right? But I was like, yeah, this is, you know, she was like, you know, she's obligated to send it to the seller, but just heads up, she has turned away people with way more
Assets,
than you, but I will still send it to her.
Talk
right?
about God.
Right. So I will still send it to her. So she sent it to her. The lady then agrees to meet with me, which is a miracle in itself because she turns down people for the flimsiest reasons, but she agreed to meet with me. So then I asked this lady, I was like, the broker, I asked her, I said, is there anything, you know, that I need to, you know, I really want this school. Is there anything, you know? And she said, well, there's nothing I can tell you. All I know is that whenever someone walks into the building for the meeting with the buyer and the seller, she just whispers to her broker, because her broker sits next to her, and she will whisper to her broker, this is not the person. So you come in with your file and your suit and your tie, you know, like, I got this. And when you're done, she'll be like, okay, thank you. We'll get back to you. And, you know, they will let you know, unfortunately, you know, we decide to move in another direction.
Yeah.
So with this, I was already nervous, right? We set the meeting up. Here I am the night before practicing all the things I'm going to say, how I started working in my mom's shops, how I've been doing childcare, how in TSU I learned childcare. You know, I've been in this business. I own my own. I've sold one, right? So I had my numbers to show that I've done, you know, my home daycare, you know, I can do this. I show up to this meeting. This lady looks at me as I was walking in with my husband. She looks at me. Oh, before this, let me even say this. Before this meeting, I had prayed.
Okay.
And God gave me a word, Isaiah 43:19.
Okay, come on.
I will make a way in the wilderness.
That's right.
You know that Bible
Yes.
verse. So then God gives me that word. I hold on to it. I'm like, yes, he's making a way. He's making rivers in the dry wasteland. I claim it. This is my river in the dry wasteland. You know, I prayed with that Bible verse. So when I walked in, and I also prepared. So you pray and prepare. Obviously, you have to do both. So I've prepared, you know, my slides. I've prepared my folder, you know, my portfolio, my degrees in the file, you know, like I'm ready to show her that I can do this. So then I walk in there, this lady does the exact same thing. She whispers to her broker. In my mind, I'm like, this is it. I'm done. Like, what am I even doing?
Like, should I just turn around now?
Do you know everything I practiced left my body? Like, I forgot everything I was going to say, my degree and everything. I probably even forgot my name at this point, right? I'm like, I was so scared. So I sat down and she just asked me one question. And she was like, why do you think, in so many words, you know, I'm paraphrasing, but why do you think you're the one for this? You know, something like that. If she had asked me that without whispering, I knew the answer. Like, I have a home daycare. I've done child business. You know, I had the answer.
You had prepped and over-prepared.
Over-prepared. But because she did that, she threw me off. I forgot everything. So I just had to tell her the truth. At this point, I just told her, I said, ma'am, honestly, I think I'll be the best person for this because I prayed yesterday. Oh, wow. And God, can you imagine a business meeting? You know, I mean, that's why God uses the foolish things, right? God uses the foolish things, because this testimony is funny, but now talking with business people, you can see how ridiculous it is going into a meeting. They're asking you, why do you think you're perfect for this? And you're like, God said. So I just told her, I said, I prayed yesterday and God gave me the word, Isaiah 43:19. He's going to make a way, a river. You know, I quoted it. And she was just staring at me. In my mind, I'm thinking she's staring at me like, are you okay?
Like what's wrong?
Like, what is wrong with, I'm here for a business meeting. You're telling me Bible verse. Do you understand? That was what I thought her stares were. But this lady opens her phone. And she says, she you know, pressed the buttons and she said, can you read that? And then apparently what she was showing me is a text message she sent to her husband that morning.
Oh, wow.
And she was telling her husband that the people we're going to meet today, which is Obi and Ruby, me and my husband, I truly feel like they're the ones because I just prayed this morning and the Lord gave me the word Isaiah 43:19. I saw this. You cannot, I promise you.
I love these stories.
Every time I share this story, I'm like, I cannot make this up.
Like,
it's like,
signed, sealed, delivered.
I saw this on her phone.
Show up.
Exactly. I saw this on her phone. Right? I saw this on her phone.
$1 million
So it's not like, you know, when I said it, she was like, oh yeah, you know, because the enemy will have a way over the years to then make me doubt.
Come on.
You know, make me doubt. Like, are you sure she didn't say that because she's a motivated seller and she wants to sell her business? You know, I saw the text message with my own two eyes. That's my testimony, and I witnessed it, right? And at this point, I bust out crying. My husband was emotional, like, who is cutting onions? Everybody, you know, like everybody at this point,
sweating.
like right. I said he was crying in one other podcast, and he was like, "Don't go out there telling people I was crying." So, babe was sweating. Yes, you were sweating. Your eyes were sweating. Okay, so I got it right. But anyway, you know, it was just an emotional moment in the room. I found out she's a woman of faith as well, so it worked out perfectly. I did not have to open my file. I did not have to do anything. That was it. She was like, they're the ones, and the broker was like, yeah, when you walked in, that was what she said to her, that these are the ones. But you see how when I saw that, I thought
these are not the ones.
I thought I was disqualified, right?
Yeah.
So God just has a way of working everything. Even before you get into the room, God has worked it out for you, and favor has gone before you,
Well,
right?
let's get real about that, because we like to bring faith into what we do, but I think that's only like maybe 1% of the journey, really. Because after that happened,
You got to do your work.
tell us what else happened.
Yeah, do
All
your
right,
part,
because
right?
I'm sure that, God just made, he already aligned
The
everything
end.
to where this is your business. You were meant to have it. You would just flourish, and it's just happily ever after. The end.
All
No
right.
more struggles.
No,
You
you
never
still
had
have
any
struggles.
issues after that,
Oh,
right?
no.
Because God was in it from day one.
Absolutely. You still have struggles, right? But with a testimony like that, you can always look back at your book of remembrance and know that
right.
God is with you. And you stay consistent. Keep showing up. Keep showing up. Keep showing up. That's one thing I would advise any entrepreneur and business owner. Once you get that word, don't relax and say, well, God said, you have to show up. You have to be consistent. You have to continue to improve. You have to continue to try to be better in your business. And my line of work, my goal is to serve as many families as I can, right? So it's not about the money. When you start to serve people, when you start to focus your attention on serving people, money will come, right? If you focus on the money, that's now you're greedy. Focus on serving people, focus on helping people. There's a need in the community. And you are meeting that need. If you can meet the need in the community with your skill set, you're serving people. And once you start focusing on serving people, that's how you make your money. Do you understand? Now, will trials and tribulation and problems come? That's an everyday thing, right? But what is keeping you is your why. And part of your why is your story. Part of your why is your experience. And that's, like this kind of testimony. How would I have this kind of testimony and then give up?
Yeah.
Knowing that, again, I'm not actually saying numbers, but it will blow your mind if you knew how much I bought my first business for. Do you understand? Because it was worth way more than that. Right? And I made my money back within a few months.
Oh.
You see?
That's right.
So from then till present, it's been cash cow. You've made your money back, right?
That's right.
It can only be God.
That's right.
And it was a legacy thing. I never understood it until now, because now where I am, if I ever decide to retire, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm paying it forward. I'm going to give it to someone who has a passion, whose purpose. And it's not about the money because I've made my money, right? So it's about legacy, and I'm passing it on to somebody, to the next. But in all this while, I was always like, wow, God gave me this huge mantle. Like, you cannot but be grateful for what has been put in your hands. And it would be stupid of anybody to just relax and just, God gave it to me, so it's going to be rosy. And then you run from the first, trial that comes your way,
I always say that with every single blessing, there are always challenges with it.
Absolutely.
Name it. You want a nice car? Okay, get ready for service A, service B, whatever.
Insurance.
Your insurance. You want children? Get ready for it.
Oh, yeah.
You want a spouse? Get ready for it. You wanna. Every single blessing comes with its own challenges, right? So, can you talk about you've now graduated, I'm gonna call it, from the home daycare to having a space now. You've got the keys in your hand. Tell us some of the challenges you faced on that first daycare as we keep going in your story.
Yes. One of the challenges I faced that is personal to me, right? I don't know if many people face this, but one of the things I personally faced, and I'm here to share my story, is I look younger than I am. So I show up and the teachers are like, are you one of the kids or are you the boss? Do you understand? It was like,
are you a college intern?
Yeah. So
that's not a bad thing.
That's
right?
a blessing.
It's a blessing, but when you're coming into a space where you are the boss, if you don't set the boundaries and set the culture and set everything, you could be run over.
Yeah, they'll look down on you.
They'll look down on you. They are not your friends. They are your team, and they have to act like that, right? So that was one of the challenges. I came in, and first day, the previous owner is there, and she's trying to introduce me, and she tells them, "Hey, this is the new owner we sold." You could see in their face, like, okay, did the new owner send her daughter to come say hi? Is the actual owner in the car? You could tell their face. Do you understand?
The person behind you?
Behind you, So it was, yeah. So that was like challenging, and I had to set ground rules, and they quickly found out that I know what I'm talking about, right? So it is. Consistency again will show people they can see your worth. They can see you prove yourself by being consistent, right? So just like if I walked in here and I'm all like friendly and we're all talking, but when it's time to talk business, you're like, oh, she actually knows what she's talking about, right? So same thing, I had to show that.
It's part of culture building too.
Yeah, it's part of culture building. Another thing that I did to help them get comfortable was I showed them that I'm not just like a bossy boss, but I want them to feel heard and seen. Your employees would drive your vision faster than anything if they see that you hear them, you can see them, you value them, and you actually show it, right? So part of the things that I do, or I have learned, and I can share with, any entrepreneur listening, is we know about the love languages, right? That also applies in the workplace. So with your team members, try to learn their love languages, right? The person who likes words of affirmation would go a long way.
Oh no, that might be a little dicey.
Hold on, let me land.
Okay.
Let me land.
We all coming for it on this.
No. Well, hold on, let me land.
Okay.
You have a teacher whose love language is words of affirmation. You walk into her classroom and you're like, you did a great job yesterday. I really am proud of you. I see the work you're putting in. She's like, oh my God, she sees it.
Yeah.
That employee would work so hard for you, right? Because again, as a business owner, you're not only focusing on building your business and making money, you're building people.
That's right.
It's the people that will build the systems.
That's right.
Then the systems will help you scale. The money will come, but you build the people. How do you build someone if you don't learn their language, right? Now, the person who, for example, is gifts, their love language is gifts. Yeah.
My whole staff is gifts.
Okay, fine. let me give you ideas, right? You don't have to buy no. You don't have to buy Chanel bags for them.
No.
On your way to work, you can get them. Those are the staff that appreciate coffee. You bring like a cup of coffee. They're like, oh my God, she remembers me.
Buy lunch and dinner when we work hard.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be any, but these are, now I'm not saying spoil your staff, but make them feel seen, right? The ones who love quality time, okay, every now and then you call one to the office, let them have that one-on-one time with you. How was your weekend? And then they're like, oh my God, she sees me. I'm not just a number to her. I'm not just somebody who try it, because again, you're talking to, no shade, but you're talking to someone who has multiple employees, and these are systems that have worked. Go ahead.
If I may, I think that works, but there's also a dynamic where I'm a dentist. I'm the only male in the office most of the time. So it's not me talking to other men, it's me talking to other women. And even if most of the offices, their love language is are gifts or acts of services. If there's a quality time one, the rest of the staff may not see it as,
Yes.
oh, that's their love language. Why is he always talking to her?
Okay,
She's
so
his favorite.
okay, so
Something is going
there's a
on.
way to
You
tackle
know,
that.
like, so
There's a way to
I
tackle
have
that.
to do it equal with everyone.
There's a way to tackle that. If you're the only male and you have staff, female staff, do you have a female director, or how does your business work? Do you have someone who,
Yes,
someone who is in charge? Zell her the money to buy the coffee. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not
No, I
not
can buy
coming
the gifts
from
for
you.
I'm talking about the
quality
quality time.
Okay, so when you are cleaning teeth,
Yeah, we all talk.
oh, you talk to
We
them.
always talk.
And then you're not just talking to them about the money being made or did this person's insurance
it's
pay.
never
You
that.
can actually ask, how was your day? How's your family?
all the time.
That's the quality time. I'm not saying take her out on a date now.
Well,
That is the
whoa.
you know?
Before Kay gets on you, at least, let me ask one question, right?
Okay.
Because I might not be able to read. Actually, I probably can't read people's love language.
Introvert.
Come take
All
the
right.
test.
Really?
Easy.
Yes. So that's what you.
No.
Okay, let me. There's so many
all my
apps
Take the test.
and so many surveys.
Culture map, love language,
Yes,
everything.
there are so many things that you can give your staff. The way they answer will tell you what this person values, what this person likes.
I'm gonna need some because
Okay, so we can talk about that after.
So I was saying that for me, I'm more of the do everything for everybody kind of equally type of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we always go out as a team. You know, I try and check on everybody. Even throughout the day, I'm like, hey, you good? You good? You good? Everybody's good. You know, check on them and so on and so forth. So it's not... Maybe it's I don't know what each individual person likes more than the other. So if there's stuff out there,
So it's something to think about, right?
Yeah.
It's something to think about where
it could
you still want your staff. Yes, you do things as a team, but you want your staff to feel individually heard, individually seen, individually like you see them and stuff. Because that's the problem with the corporate world, right? You don't like your boss doesn't even, you're just in a cubicle, your boss don't care. Now, you know, there's profit sharing, they share with everybody, but the bosses has never said anything to you. How does that make you feel? You know what I mean? Imagine if the CEO comes to you and says, how is your daughter? I heard she was doing a soccer practice. How was her game? You're gonna feel like, oh my God, he remembered that my daughter had a game or something. You know, that will make you work extra harder that day.
Yeah.
You're building his company. Do you see what I'm saying? Again, he's building people, and you are the one now building the systems and making him richer. I'm giving you all the secrets.
Yes.
I'm giving you the secrets. You build people, and then people build the systems for you. Now, those same people will go to bat for you because they feel heard, because they feel seen. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Pick up on there are so many souvenirs, and even how can this company be better? How can I serve you better? All their answers will be different. You know? So that's how you know.
Try some things throughout the rest of this week.
Yeah. It shouldn't always be generalized. Those are good.
Yeah.
Generalized stuff is good, but the personal, individual things is good. And I know it's challenging for guys, you know, having women in the, you know, because women can get their emotions all, but you keep it professional. They already know this is who you are. And then you can also go through your female employees, right?
Yeah,
so that way,
leaders,
yeah,
yes,
your leaders, you know, so this is from the boss.
I was gonna wrap it up. Before we wrap it up, I want you to tell us quickly any of your failures. Just quick advice on failures you had. You know, I don't want to keep you too long. So people who are entrepreneurs who started a business can kind of get an insight to that.
Okay. So advice that I would give based on my experience.
With parents, anything.
Yeah. Advice I would give based on my experience is you hire slow, fire fast.
That's what.
Yes. Hire slow, fire fast. You take your time to hire the people that would represent your brand perfectly, people that align with your values and your culture, not just good on paper or good resume, right? You have to be careful the people you bring in, especially in my line of work, right? It takes one bad employee to destroy trust because again, my line of work is based on trust. Parents trust you to watch their kids. You have one bad employee, now, everything can be destroyed. And it takes, once trust is destroyed, it takes a while to build it back up, right? So you have to be really careful. So that's one of the mistakes that I made and one of the failures. Trusting too quickly. During the hiring and onboarding process, someone tears up to me and tells me their sub story.
Actors. Those actors.
I really need this job.
Those actors.
Yes, I really need.
Actors,
I really need this job. And then you feel, again, being a woman of faith, you're trying to impact people positively. You feel like this is a project you can work on. Some people, you can't help everybody, right? Yeah. You can't. And
it's still a business.
It's still a business, right? So I had to learn early that, you don't just bring anybody into, because they will switch it up real quick. The same person who was crying will switch it up real quick. So I had to learn that. That was one. Another mistake that I see a lot of entrepreneurs making that I made in the beginning is not delegating my weaknesses.
We talked about that.
Yes, you have to delegate your weaknesses. I am not good at certain things. My business, and if you want to scale, you cannot scale chaos and confusion.
That's right.
Right? You scale once you find out how to build your systems and you have the right structure in place and you have right process, then you can scale. Not when it's still chaotic, right? Yeah. So here go Ruby thinking I can learn on the job, right? So let me give you an example. I'm not a very good tech person. I'm not. But, now you have a business. What do? You learn how to do tech. No. Hire a tech person. Don't try to figure it out yourself. Your business is at stake, especially if you want to grow it. Now, if you want to stay small, you can pet project yourself and, hobby yourself, try to figure it out. But if you're looking to grow, get somebody who is really good at this. Because what happens is now you have a team of experts.
Yes.
This person is good at this. 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 And they all have different personalities, and you know your staff and you have heard and seen them, and
they make you look good.
And exactly, they make you look
your
good.
Software just I love it.
Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, because you have.
You don't even know how it works.
Exactly. But you look good, right? They make you look good. Again, they're helping you build your vision because you have poured into them, you have built them, you have heard them, you've seen them. Yeah. So y'all don't sleep on in your businesses. Don't sleep on this love language secret I gave you.
For sure.
Don't sleep on it because people would work for you diligently, knowing that you have their back, knowing that you've heard them and stuff like that. So that was my mistake. So many mistakes I've made over the years. What is another mistake that I made? Another failure that I've had?
Well, while you're trying to think about that, I know you did mention a book that it's coming out pretty soon, right?
Yes.
Can we talk about that real quick?
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up because that's important. I am working on a book and it's going to be a parenting book. It's a childcare expert's guide to even better parenting. Because what I have noticed with parents over the years, I've been doing this for 20 years, and over the years, parents will come into the building and it's so clean, so organized. Their children are learning. Once they enroll their kids, you can clearly see a difference within a week or two. For those who are parents, you can tell when your child starts school.
Yes.
You're like, I can see the difference better than when they were home.
Yeah.
And then parents will just ask me like, how I can barely keep up with my one. And you all have how many kids in here and it's working? Like, how do you all do this? And I'm like, yeah, we got it like that. But you know, it's my time to give back to parents, you know, so that they can practice the same strategies and the same structure and the same things that we practice in daycare, so they can use that at home as well. It comes from because most parenting books will come from maybe someone who is a doctor, like a PhD holder in this, but they've never worked a day. You read some parenting books, you're like, this don't apply.
It's just theories.
It's just theories. This does not work. Yeah.
They probably don't even have children.
Exactly. It's like, this doesn't work for my kid, you know, but these are proven strategies, proven things that work from a daycare expert. You know, I have raised hundreds of children, if not thousands at this point.
Now, when is this book coming out?
Hundreds of yo children. That's what she almost said.
Yes.
When is this book coming out? Because now I'm getting excited.
Well, it's coming out in the summer.
In the summer, okay.
Yeah, we haven't picked a date for the launch yet.
Okay.
But what I would say is, if you want more info on the book and when it's coming out, text the number, text childcare to the number 26786, and that will give you all the information.
That's 2676.
26786.
That was dyslexic.
Before we round up real quick, I just want us to go to the, off the top segment where I'm going to ask you 10 rapid questions.
Let's do this.
Alan is going to round us up. What's harder, running a business or raising kids?
Running a business.
If you were not an entrepreneur, what's one job that you'll do?
Interior design.
Interior design. Okay. What's one thing that people will be surprised to know about you?
I'm a very good cook, and I don't take nonsense.
Okay, would you prefer to read a book or watch a show or movie?
Read a book.
Okay. Did becoming a mother make you a better entrepreneur, or did entrepreneur make you a better mother?
Becoming a mother made me a better entrepreneur. Yeah.
Staycation with your husband or vacation with the family?
Staycation with my husband.
What's the most important skill set as an entrepreneur?
Being resilient.
System or people? Which matters more in the business?
People. Build people. They'll build your systems.
Got it. Are you a risk taker or a calculated planner?
Risk taker all day.
And the last one, where can our audience find Ruby online?
Okay, so my Instagram is Ruby Tassy, RUBYTASSY, or you can reach me at my website, rubymbelu.com, or like I said earlier, you can text childcare to the number 26786.
Thank you so much. Round us up, Alan.
Hey, thank you so much for sharing your time with us.
Yes.
Obviously, she's very extroverted, big energy, very contagious. I love it. So, I feel the same.
We need to put music behind this now.
I love this. She came dressed to the nines as always. She came with so much energy, with her youthfulness and her knowledge at the same time. We appreciate it. Learned so much about your entrepreneur journey, how you began. It was very motivating and refreshing to hear someone else talk about us.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me
here. We just
here.
want to give you another round of applause.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Now we do want to get on your calendar after the book comes out, all right? Because we want you back.
Absolutely. Okay? I'll be back. This was fun. This was fun. I was just about to ask that, to come back. This was fun. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Until next time, you can find us at where?
GoBeyondTheGrind.com.
Yes, sir.
And I do really want you guys to go out and check out our new website, all right? The team has been working on it. All right, so go check it out. It's GoBeyondTheGrind.com. Make sure you're subscribed.
Until next time.
Peace.
Peace.
To make strategic decisions and take calculated risks. We'll also talk about future-proofing your business so you can build a lasting legacy and true freedom. This isn't a one-sided conversation. We're all on this journey together to build a life and a business that works for you, so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes.